Good morning to our lecturer, Dr. Sarina, and my fellow friends. Today we are going to explain our microeconomic assignment. Next slide. These are my group members. First, I, myself, Yogavali Ramesh, then Nishani and Balagan, Janagi Tararusu, Ramani and Muthu, Kirtana Balakrishnan, and lastly Vishalni Gunaseharan. Next slide. Microeconomic theme is ours, the future of work. The rise of the gig economy is the gig economy exploitative. Next, I pass to next presenter.
The introduction. Next slide. A gig economy is a free market system in which firms require independent workers for short-term commitments and temporary roles are frequent. And the gig economy is about people or businesses trading work for money using digital platforms that link suppliers and customers on a short-term pay-as-you-go basis. Next, gig economy refers to recent developments in the global labor market as well as response to fulfill time work. Due to flexibility and nature of labor, the gig economy job status result in a significant number of independent contractors. Then the number of giggers is steadily increasing, forcing the recruiting and hiring industry to find new solutions to replace traditional employment structures. Economists has yet to come up with a universally accepted definition of gig economy because the variety of this global phenomenon is subject to constant change over time of technological process. The factor linked to the digital revolution and its particulars cannot be encapsulated in a single theory or vision. Next slide. The example of gig economy companies are Uber, DoorDash, Upwork, Catalan. Next, comparison between company. Comparison between Uber versus DoorDash. Uber and DoorDash are fierce opponents within the online meals shipping marketplace. Uber Eats, which turned into release in 2014 to supplement Uber's central ride-hailing enterprise, now operates in extra than 6,000 towns throughout 45 nations. It additionally opened Postmates Ultimate December to enhance its marketplace percentage within the US DoorDash, which turned into release in 2013, generates maximum of its sales within the US. However, additionally operates in Canada, Australia, and Japan. DoorDash managed 57% of the US mail shipping marketplace in July in step of Bloomberg's second measure. Next, the variation among Uber and DoorDash. Uber generates 55% of its sales from its mobility segment, which owns its ride-hailing service. Ultimate 20 months is shipping segment, which presents its mail shipping services. Other than that, how rapid are Uber and DoorDash growing? The pandemic generated each headwind and tailwind for Uber. Its mobility enterprise struggled as fewer humans being burnt out. However, its shipping enterprise profits as extra human beings order meals delivered on time. Meanwhile, the pandemic generated strong tailwinds for DoorDash shipping enterprise, which wasn't have written a day of means of slower boom corporation. Lastly, which inventory is the higher investment? Uber is a its enterprise is a higher divested is going to gain from reopening tailwinds and its inventory is cheaper. As for DoorDash, the organization faces an excessive amount of competition and it hasn't tested that the mail shipping enterprise version is sustainable yet. Next, advantages and disadvantages. In the gig economy, there are various advantages. First and foremost, flexibility. Many gig economy freelancers find that Their status affords them a great deal of flexibility. Gig economy workers have many options from working the hours they choose to working where they want. Next, the pay for freelance workers differs from one company to the next. Some businesses pay gig workers less, while others pay them more because they don't have to provide benefits on top of their compensation. Disadvantages: the workers will be face legitimate difficulties. Some businesses have attempted to get other specific regulations by posting individuals as independently employed when they are truth be told full-time and meriting those benefits. Lastly, the workers will search new work frequently. Unfortunately, the most gig economies occupations benefits are important for the bundle. Since the worker is not a full-time partner of organization, the regulation with respect to advantage the organization needs to give you are unique. That's all from me. I pass to next person.
Thank you, Janagi. Now I'm going to explain about literature review. Next slides. The title of the first article is Platform Capitalism Hidden Abroad, Producing Data Asset in the Gig Economy. The author of this article is Niels van Doorn and Adam Becker. In this article, we contend that the administration of the gig work under condition of finalized stage free enterprise is portrayed by a cycle that we call double word creation. Application represented gig labels that work as vital causes in programming frameworks that produce advanced information as a specific resource classes. At last, it is the huge reaches also cynetic limits of meta stage that comprise the most imposing snag to labor power and civil rights in the progressively information driven social orders. Next article is Risk Shift in the Gig Economy, the normative case for an insurance scheme against the effects of precarious work. The author of this article is Friedman Bieber and Jacob Mogia. Over the last 10 years, the gig economy has ascended to conspicuous in public talk yet has neglected to draw in supported consideration from political servants. The gig economy is a subsection of the general economy that prevalently depends on request work. Prim treats them as free vendors of administration and just recruit them to play out of specific gig, that is to finish a predefined job as or task. Next title of article is Exploitation in a Distribute and Unjust Gig Economy. The author of this article is Mohammad Ham Rashid. The reason of this report is a evolution of the gig economy, teaching and advising a scholarly crowd regarding the flaws that exist and how these issues lead to abuse and unfairness in the gig economy. During the creative cycle, I explored a scholarly article that books connect with the gig economy and absorb, empowering myself to structure a strong groundwork from which to lead further examination. The extent of this report analyzed the corpus of the text connecting with the gig economy and absorb and stress a portion of the manner in which our authors figure out and how to show the abuse and the unfairness in the gig economy. Next article title is The Gig Economy and the Future of the Work. Um, Author of this article is Malcolm Sargent. The purpose of this article is to consider the development of so-called gig economy and to show that really the developments in the labor market are really just a development of an increase in contingent work generally. And this article analyzes relevant literature and statistical information together with the issues raised by litigation in relation to the employment status of workers employed in developing gig economy. Next slide, please. Next title of article is Between a Rock and Hard Place, Freedom, Flexibility, Precarity and Vulnerability in the Gig Economy in Africa. The author of this article is Muhammad Amir Anwar. The universe of work is evolving. Intelligence, advantage and computerized stage as empower all kinds of work to be conveyed from any place on the planet by anybody with a PC and a web association. This carefully intricate main maintain career sources of income to areas of the planet generally described by low wages and high jobless rates. This it has been promoted by state third area association and the private area as the clever system of monetary improvement. We offer four logical improvement aspects through which state-based remote work improve the lives and jobs of African laborers. For example, opportunity, adaptability, precarity, and vulnerability. Next article is regulating work in the gig economy. What are the options? Author of this article is Andrew Stewart. Paid work related and advanced stage organization are types islet which model to use of customary work guidelines and business norms. It then thinks about the relevance of exciting work guidelines to this gig occupation referring to both Australian and global regulation and case regulations. This is extensively vulnerability in regards to the extent of customer guardians, leads norm and cues in the domain of sporadic, carefully invented work. That's all for me. Now I pass to next presenter.
Hi everybody. So the next title is about rethinking legal tax entitlements for the gig economy. So the writer is Abi Adams, Judith Frieden, and Jeremias Pressel. People making their own businesses to the discontinuity of conventional work connections into present moment, irregular work of quite some time, have brought a large group of difficulties for controllers according to Parsi. People could likewise decide to supply their work through a consolidated business, expanding their choices over the structure wherein to take their profits, work pay. This might be changed over into profits, different dissemination or capital increases. So the second article is about the technological mediated human resource management in the gig economy. So the writer is Anthony McDonald, Ronald Cadry, John Burks, and Alton Sherman. The gig economy, which most commonly refers to an economic system that uses digital platforms to connect work with consumers and clients, is increasingly omnipresent in discussion and debates around the future of work. So next slide, please. Okay, the next title is about theorizing the gig economy and home-based service work. So the writer is Frances Flanagan. Digital platforms are instruments of a fundamental shift within the governance of home-based service work from a system of dyadic to one of structural domination. So the next article is about beyond national systems towards a gig economy, a research agenda for international and comparative employment relations. So this journal is written by Chris F. Reed, Nick Wales, and Greg Bamber. So multi-scalar analytic framework for comparing employment relations internationally, which incorporates the influence of the institutional dynamics of business sectors and global production networks additionally as national systems. So the next article is youth enterprise and precarity, or what is wrong with the gig economy. The writer or the author is Robert McDonald. In this most basic form, the gig economy refers to a process in which corporations post short-term jobs on online platforms and employers bid a wage price to do the job as an independent contractor working on a series of discrete gigs. Some, on the other hand, use the phrase to refer to a broader spectrum of precarious employment situations. So the last article is the organization and experience of work in the gig economy. So this article is written by Sarah Kane and Emmanuel Josrain. So despite little and inconsistent information regarding its reach, the digitally enabled economy, also known as the platform economy, on-demand economy or gig economy, is gaining widespread public and governmental interest. Work in that economy has come to be known as gig work, which refers to task-based and electronical mediated job. So that's all from me. I would like to pass to my next teammate. Thank you.
My opinion based on the topic given, the things that I've learned about the gig economy's rise and how it's changing the working world is the gig economy disrupted the relationship between businesses and the people who deliver their goods and services in the United States during the last decade. Employees have several rights and assurance under the typical US employment relationships, including minimum wage, overtime pay, workers' compensation, unemployment insurance, employment benefits, workplace safety regulations, non-discrimination, and other legal obligations. The second, both businesses and gig workers have possibilities and problems as a result of gig worker. On the one hand, low pay with no guaranteed minimum wage, long hours, a lack of workplace safety regulations, economic uncertainty, and limited or no job security are all issues that workers are concerned about. Employer provided health insurance, retirement contribution, and paid time off are unavailable to gig workers. In addition, I've learned one more thing from this topic. The gig economy provides a benefit to workers in the form of financial freedom. Being a part of gig economy may provide them with an unparalleled amount of autonomy since they have the ability to select who they work for as, as well as how, when they work. This increased amount of autonomy reflects and the changing expectation, the values of a younger workplace. The gig economy is also bringing a digital transformation to business because the rise of app-based platforms, cloud computing, virtual offices, and mobile payments in particular has created a climate in which new businesses may flourish at an unprecedented rate. Nowadays, it is common. Companies may now employ people from all around the world with no limits of locations. Furthermore, in the gig economy, the most majority of the workers are independent laborers for recruit. The progression of the gig economy has brought the light the inspiration driving why the Fair Labor Standards Act was spread out. The declaration of the Fair Labor Standards Act relied upon the revelations of the Congress that the organization busy with exchange were not wise concerning the thriving of this worker. The next point will be presented by my teammate. Thank you.
Okay, the next point from my perspective is although the gig economy has for sure led to advancement and the making of occupation in a time of downturn, there has certainly been a misallocation of assets across different sections of the general public, and this has made an instance of distributive platform. So this issue of distributive equity comes from the issue that the advantages of social company between the business and the worker are lopsided. So the business acquires much more than the worker on account of the gig economy. This is conversely to the custom work which boss worker relationship which accompanies numerous affirmations and insurance. These affirmations incorporate after some time security, the lowest pay permitted by law, well-being assurance, handicap, joblessness benefit, wiped out pass on, and the capacity to take part in the aggregate activity. In the gig economy, the business gains the most as the same thing. The business is liable aggregate activity for is paying the self-employed entity. A huge saving in cost is cost for the business sake, and the worker doesn't acquire as much as the business. The worker, on the other hand, contributes his own capital. The expense of devaluation of the capital is only very seldom thought of. So the next is employees profit from gig work because they have access to competent personnel at a time when finding full-time employees is becoming more difficult. So these part-time workers, also known as contingent or contract employees, have more freedom and have access to new options that were previously unavailable. While gig workers have historically been informed that we need to large offices, the cost of living in some jurisdictions. The fact that digital platforms are not required to provide workers' compensations insurance. So there are also broader financial implications for gig workers, such as limited credit access due to lenders viewing gig workers as riskier loan applicants than more traditional borrowers, and low insurance and income security levels for vulnerable population segments. So the next slide, I would like to pass to my another teammate.
Thank you, Visha. Now we're moving to the last part, which is the conclusion of the title. The current premium
in the gig economy has additionally been prodded by the utilization of advanced innovation and the utilization of stages. Regularly, while discussing the gig economy, the subject is normally stage economy and all the more explicitly stage work. Expanding among these distincts, the gig economy has developed and created. Nonetheless, these guarantees of the gig economy have not worked out as expected. This proposed approach to working as all things being equal shown up not fit around existing connection, but rather all things considered to start separating past approach to working. This includes a break from what has been known as the standard business relationship. This means an assumption for labours that they will have a stable and socially safeguarded, reliant regular work that is independent upon securities from the state and affected by aggregate agreements. Inconceivable that everything work could become coordinated over stages and become a piece of the gig economy. Many can be parked into more modest part paid by the earn with bosses that could see advantage of significantly more adaptable labor force. Next slide, please. And here we're going to talk about the rise of the gig economy. When it comes to the rising of the gig economy, it's shown to be more advantageous to some people and employees than others, making it eventually destructive to some. The gig economy has allowed many people to restructure their work lives to correspond with their existing circumstances. As the desire to work flexibly with freedom has grown, the rise of technology has endangered consumer, employer, and employer satisfaction by encouraging convenience, providing companies with greater access to talents and linking them with many job seekers. As previously mentioned, these advantages have emphasized with the gig economic's significant success. However, the gig economic level of complexity and lack of structure has also elicited several negative consequences. The gig economy can be advantageous for independent contractors who have control over their working environment and constantly reform it because gig employment is largely influenced by demand. Many gig workers have experienced job insecurity because of this inconsistency and lack of stability, particularly those who are largely reliant on gigs form of specific industry as a source of income or who are unable and unwilling to perform jobs in other industries. The gig economic dynamic nature makes it more favorable and advantageous for multi-skilled professionals who are flexible to changing work condition and culture. The need of the hour is focused on issues of gig economic to enhance working condition. Next slide, please. Here we going to discuss is the gig economic exploitative. Yes, the gig economy is exploitative in such a way of gig companies start direct and paid drivers, delivery drivers, independent contractors and other workers, millions of business that don't need basic service of protection. The company then avoids paying basic costs such as minimum wages, medical care, paid sick leave coverage, and tied up of other important interests for employees. We recognize Congress on the rights and protection of all workers and boldly ensure that app-based business do not discourage worker equality in the name of flexibility and innovation. Cooperation and recognition their operation to use gig workers do uh, legal responsibilities to breach workers' rights without consequences. Exploitation in the gig economy, the institute exposes the effect of misclassification, the erosion of gig workers' economic safety net, and how the gig economy promotes racial inequality in the gig economy. That's all from us. Thank you.